Okay, thank you, Sarah, very much. Time for a call to order for the City of Ocean Shores Radio Board regular meeting for our fine February 22nd, 2022. So it's 2/22/22 day, 10:30 a.m. Thank you. Let's do a roll call. Marty's here.
Rosanna's here.
Tom's here.
Okay. And Daryl, I see you. Are you able to? I don't, no audio, Daryl. Oh, now you're muted. Now you're open. Mute open.
Is it now? Oh,
Okay.
it's coming through.
It's a little
Wow.
digitized, but we've got you. Okay, you're there. Excellent. Okay, thank you. So we're looking for an approval of the meeting agenda as it stands. Does anyone have on the board corrections? Yes, Sarah.
I just want to send or say a reminder that Dave and Tom will not vote on this. They need to do their oath of office thereafter. So it'll be Daryl, Rosanna, and yourself.
And so the oath of office I did at the meeting, I'd need to do another one.
No, Tom will be the only one. So you can vote. Sorry, I forgot who was there. Yeah, so you can vote, Tom can't.
Okay. But in a few minutes. Okay, so everybody review and make any comment on approval of the meeting agenda as it's been presented. Hearing no amendments, do I hear a motion to approve? Daryl.
Motion to approve the minutes as posted.
Okay,
I second.
thank you. Any discussion? We've already kind of covered that. So 4 of us can vote to approve the approval of the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, we've had at least 3. Dave's withholding right now, which is fine. That's fine. And so we've approved the agenda as it stands. Minutes. Now, Sarah, perhaps you can help us real quick on that situation. What?
I owe you 3 sets of minutes. So yeah,
So
I owe
subject
you
to
that.
future review. Okay,
Yeah, so that one won't be, but I do owe you 3 sets of minutes, which I have the notes, just haven't typed them out. So I can send those over this week to all of you to review, and then we'll put them in the next agenda.
perfect. Okay, thank you. Do we have to ask for a motion on that, or is that just a movement through? Okay, time for the oath of office for Thomas Gardner.
If you'll raise your right hand, sir. All right, you're going to repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Thomas J. Gardner,
Do solemnly swear that
do solemnly swear that
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
the Constitution of the State of Washington,
the laws of the State of Washington,
the laws of the State of Washington,
the ordinances of the City of Ocean Shores,
the ordinances of the City of Ocean Shores,
and will faithfully perform the duties of
and will faithfully perform the duties of
Radio Board Member for the City of Ocean Shores, Washington,
Radio Board Member for the City of Ocean Shores, Washington,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. That's wonderful. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your
you.
involvement. Thank you, Sarah, for conducting that oath of office. Looks like item number 2, since I understand that Dave was successful in being sworn in, we can pass that one at this time and move on. Wonderful. Okay. Any public communications?
I did not receive any written communication. We do have a resident online. It is Don Williams. Don, do you have a public comment?
Just a quick one. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the audio of the last council meeting, the streaming over the KSW internet was excellent. It was like 100%. And so whatever was done, I really appreciate that. The video on the video show, the one using Zoom, the audio was certainly understandable. It still has the room acoustics in it. I wonder why in other words, that was like 100% better than anything I've ever heard in the last couple of meetings. So it was certainly acceptable. I just wonder why the audio for the Zoom meeting can't be the same audio that was used by the radio station at the last meeting, because it was absolutely 100% excellent. And I thank you for making those improvements. Okay. And I can't stick around much longer. I have to go, but I want to listen for a while, and I'll be gone when I go. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Don. Yes, Sarah.
Remember back when Dawn brings up a good point, and Dawn, the Zoom is pulled in through phone, but I wonder if we can't connect the Zoom, remember, Marty, to the audio feed for the radio and just do the output for speakers on the phone through the PA system.
It's entirely possible. It's going to take a little experimentation to get back
Yeah.
to kind of a configuration. It's either that, or else just we'll come up with a way that we can actually get your whichever laptop you're using for the Zoom call to actually mute the local microphone, because that's the culprit in all of this.
Well, that's something where the radio did pull it from the Zoom when we were. I just wonder if we could set it up in that fashion. That might be something now that the radio feed is better. Just another thing let's look into.
Yeah, I will also. I'm also going to be interested in seeing how the North Beach TV feed audio ultimately comes out when they publish that up on the website or carry it on TV. I haven't seen it yet, but that will be the third link in cleaning up all the audio. I hope that filter that I put in for them was also a benefit. So there is a little more experimentation. I believe I saw Dave's hand go up, or was it Butch? Butch.
Sitting in this station, I have the TV feed on one monitor, and then Trey's doing the broadcast on the other, right? They don't sync.
No.
There's quite a bit of difference in the timing between, we are ahead of what the TV's doing. So I don't know if that's possible to fix or not, if you wanted to take the direct feed from ours to the TV or not. That's something we got to think about.
It's a possibility. Let's see. What was your listening experience on the TV feed? Were you just on the regular Zoom? So you had the echo?
Yeah, I took the Zoom on the aux computer. So I was listening to that to see what the sound quality was like compared to what we were broadcasting, doing it the old way that we were doing it.
Sure.
And we were like, Don was right on. It was perfect the way we did it. It came out just crystal clear. The TV though, yeah, you could tell it was not the quality that we were putting out.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll tackle them one at a time. And Sarah, you were going to say something?
I was just going to say, so the TV does not, the TV doesn't run through the Zoom. The live stream does. The live stream runs, and there is about I think 20-second delay for the live streaming, and that can't be fixed. It's part of their live streaming programming. Like I watch it all in live feed happening same time, but by the time it goes to the live feed on the website, there's like I said, 10-20-second delay, and the Zoom doesn't have the North Beach Community TV filtering through it. That doesn't all get connected like that.
Okay.
But we're always working on it. I know we're not going to go backwards. So.
Right. Well, that's good. And Trey, real quick.
Well, I just wanted to answer and let Don know why things were different. Is that we went back to the old setup where we plugged directly into Sarah's mixer board, and we have somebody, me, on site. So that's why the sound, because you know, in the past, we were trying different configurations and everyone seemed to have a problem, but this one we're directly into the board, directly into our board. And that's why I think the sound quality was so much better.
Well, additional factor, because we have to look at the whole picture, is we used a different external USB sound card this time. And we also had the external mixer in line, which relatively speaking should not have made the difference. But that's, you know, if we're trying to go back to first principles of troubleshooting this, we're taking the right steps. So I want to move forward, but I appreciate everybody's feedback. I think we definitely are on the correct course, and we'll take the appropriate steps as they are available with the other parties that are involved. Thank you for your comments, Don. We appreciate it. We're always trying to help the public have the best listening experience. Daryl.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment to Don, just to let him know that we're trying. So it's not like it's not a deliberate thing when things went bad, because after my career in radio, stuff goes bad all the time, and you just have to deal with it and not panic and just go step by step to try to resolve it. And I think that's what we've been doing. So I just want to pass it on.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, chair's report. Well, I will say that our KOSW application before the FCC is thankfully so far quietly proceeding along. We like that. There have been no reported through the FCC system of any objections or any filings made that are counter to our application. So it's promising. The other aspect to that is we have our announcement up. You've probably seen it if you visited the KOSW website, or the City of Ocean Shores homepage has a recycling message that includes a slide and a link that describes the application through the KOSW website. So we have a couple more days that's required to have been posted. Just before the end of this month. The FCC rules don't actually state, that I'm aware of anyway, a hard and fast. It's usually 30, 45, 60 days after a process gets started before it gets wrapped up. This one is a 30-day window, which should end right around the end of February. And then we'll see what the FCC will take a little bit of time to make sure that somebody hasn't submitted a last minute 11:59 type of comment, and then they'll proceed with their internal process of absent any objections, issuing a construction permit for the station. So that's moving along nicely. That's basically what I have right. Let's see. I'll go ahead and throw in one other little tidbit. If you're interested in following what's going on at the FCC, there are a couple of different opportunities. There's a condensed FCC activities report that gets generated on a daily basis. But if you want to just see what's going on every day, throughout the day at the FCC on broadcast-oriented applications, there's a website that's called fcc.today, Today, and it's sponsored by a primarily low power FM, but an engineering group that does applications. And every minute or two, I think, maybe every 10 minutes, it automatically updates the page, and it shows you everything that's come in the door today and over the last few days. So I watch that throughout the day and look for anything that has to do with any activities in Washington and Oregon in particular, because those are the only ones that would primarily be a challenge to our operations. And you can click links and find out the details about what people have been applying for. Down towards the bottom of the page is a very interesting area where there are proceedings that have been posted to the FCC regarding requests to deny, comments being filed about applications all across the country. So you might find it an interesting website to drop in on periodically. But rest assured that I'm checking it regularly for any mention of KOSW or any of our applications. So let's move on to station report. Butcher, Trey, who wants to lead off?
I'll go first. If I can get whoever's calling the station to quit calling the station. We have a intern who's going to start this Friday. His name is Levi Ochoa, and it's through a WorkSource program that it's the young adult program. It says they serve young adults between the ages of 14 and 24 who face challenges finding employment, training, and education. And we focus on overcoming barriers and providing personalized support during challenging times. Now, Levi will be working with us for 20 hours a week for 6 weeks, and WorkSource will be paying him during this time $14.49 an hour. So he has the chance to make, I think, at the end of 6 weeks, $1,730. Levi's challenge is one that I understand well. He has high functioning autism, which is something that I have. And so Butch and I have been talking about ways, trying to get him 20 hours. We're gonna, some will involve, like maybe getting him on the air a little bit, doing a little bit of music, but predominantly he's gonna work with me on news and public relations. And I've been trying to come up with a ways that he can earn some of his hours outside the station. And I think one of the ways is, I think he indicated that he's very internet savvy and likes to look things up. So I think one thing I'm going to task him with is looking for news, historical, scientific, like daily or weekly reports, podcasts, because, with us, on the precipice of going to become a 6,000 watt station, we are a non-commercial educational station. We probably should, at least in my opinion, maybe up our educational footprint. And so this would give him something that maybe he could, do 5-6 hours a week outside the station, but still get credit. And it would help us if we could build up, a really big unit of things to pick from. And then, I basically have him find the links and whatnot. And then from there, I can take a look at them. So got that. We've got a few other ideas, to maybe get him out in the community, but I think this is really cool. And it's really cool that the place that he wanted to come do his internship was here.
That's great, Trey. Thank you. That's really, really a positive sign for the station and the general mood that we're trying to push toward. And by the way, I will send out that reference information that I'd shared with the earlier board members to both Tom and Dave on the, let's see, was that, general programming ideas on non-coms to kind of get the rhythm of how, I don't want to cast any little shadows, but bigger non-com operations work and how to kind of get the spirit of the station into the rhythm of that. So that's wonderful. I would also suggest as part of the searching to look for programs that we can kind of start to lean on in the future for both news and local information. We need to develop relationships with at least the Quinault tribe, if not the Chehalis Confederation also. but the primarily the Quinault tribe and other cities that are along the coast here. You know, we want to make sure that they're aware of the capabilities that we're headed toward and see how responsive we can get to their needs to help, you know, better ensure both the educational and the safety aspects of the coastal environment. So that's wonderful, Trey. Has he, I missed the last name, Lakota or?
Ochoa, Ochoa, I believe.
What was that?
Ochoa,
Spell it again, please.
Ochoa. Although I've got his application up behind me. Let me make sure I spelled that right.
Okay.
And it's pronounced Ochilla.
Yeah.
Is he
Ochoa. Ochoa.
Okay.
is he a local kid?
Yes, he lives
Great.
actually from the station. He's down Mount Olympus a ways. He could probably get here in 5 minutes.
Great. Has he had his background check run?
Background check has been turned in.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Butch.
And he had to do a background check to go through WorkSource. That was one of the questions. I knew that Sarah was off for 2 or 3 days, so we couldn't really ask her. But the question was if the background check performed by the state could just be transferred to the city. No. Okay, well, so you see.
Yep.
So
we're
we
right
need
back.
our own background check always.
Okay, well, Butch went ahead and had him fill it out anyway. So,
Great.
all right,
Sure.
so that's on that one thing. Let's see, what else have I done? Our weather station is kaput and we need a new one. Our problem was it continued to record wind speed and precipitation, but for reasons that Butch and I cannot discern, it quit showing relative humidity and the temperature. And, you know, something that I didn't think was necessarily wise, but Butch climbed up a ladder and went and retrieved it. I was going to do that, but I got about to the 3rd tier and I thought, no. But anyway, we got it down. We replaced the batteries and it didn't make any difference. I cleaned it off, thinking that maybe one of the sensors had been, you know, we live in a salty environment and stuff, but nothing seems to be able to bring back the temperature. And I think it would really be good if we had a new one. And Butch had actually pitched an idea that I thought actually was a pretty good idea. If we could actually get 2, maybe put one down on either like the Best Western or the Shiloh Inn pointed at the beach, because so often people want to know what is the weather at the beach. Because as we all know, it can be sunny at the airport and shrouded in fog at the beach. So anyway, that's one thing that we're looking at here.
So Trey, there, you know, there are a couple of online resources where you can actually access people's weather stations that are throughout the peninsula here. And so we can talk about that for the secondary ones for now. I understand in the big picture of things, it may make a lot of really good sense to get involved with that, but it would require some kind of internet connection and cross-linking, all that. So we'll cross those bridges, but certainly there are a number of online weather resources available that that you can lean into until we get the weather station replaced, at least.
Yeah, we use them. I mean, right now, for giving the temperature, we use the one closest to the station, which is the north end of Duck Lake on Weather Underground.
I understand. That's good. But we have already placed to the city a request for weather station replacement. It's either on order or will be shortly. Is that right, Sarah?
It's been ordered and is en route here.
There you go. So thank you. Appreciate that. Anything else, Trey, from your side, or should we shift to Butch?
I can shift to Butch. I mean, he actually took notes of what we were both going to talk about. So
Fine
Okay,
business.
my
Oh,
turn?
yeah,
sure,
it's
go
your
ahead.
turn.
Okay. All right. We cannot get into archives anymore. It's been, our
Oh.
account been frozen, so I just want to let you know. So that,
Well, wait a second. We can't, it's not only can we not get into the archives, we can't upload anything either.
right,
Okay, that's what
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Okay, yeah, and I believe the city, Sarah can verify, but we're in the process of clearing up the account deficiency on that.
How about Host Papa? In 30 days, they're gonna, that's our website.
Oh, wow.
It looks like Sarah's on another aspect right now.
I'm sorry. Go. What is it?
Host
Oh, that's
Papa,
Yeah. What about it?
we want to make sure that, Trey, do we have the invoice for that yet?
Yeah.
That
I
account's
forwarded it
already
to
set
her.
up on automatic renewal.
Host Papa is?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then the other one was Sound Exchange.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, rather, SoundCloud, sorry. The storage and upload capabilities are frozen right now.
Is that like you don't know the password, or is that something they did in result of?
No,
What-
It's a billing.
Monetary.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Trey had sent you a note this morning about that, I believe, or was that last night? I don't recall.
Last night.
Okay.
Okay, I'll look at it.
Okay. It's great. Yeah, it's a regular account that just for the other board members to kind of give a quick overview, since some of the activities that we're talking about right now have been in the process for about a year or more. This has to do with the financial operations of the radio station being completely shifted over to the city's accounting system rather than having a parallel accounting system for the station that would then periodically report to the city. We're now all encompassed within the city's operations. So there's been a progression of automatic licensing, automatic dues for various aspects of the station operations, including the streaming, internet accounts, cell phone accounts, all of that had to go through a major shuffle. So there's still a few little curves ahead in getting all of these taken care of, but we're knocking them out. And appreciate it. That some of them you don't even think about until they send you a bill and you go, oh, forgot about that one completely. So anyway, we're on the good track to getting that all in order, and Sarah's working diligently on that, I know. What else do you have there, Butch?
Oh, I got a ton of stuff here, Marty.
Okay,
Okay.
back
I
up.
want to know, how we doing about purchasing music? We got no way to purchase music. How
Oh,
do we do that?
so how had you done it in the
Well, we
past?
used to have a card.
Yeah, we used to have our own debit card,
Yeah.
and we had a form next to my desk, and people would fill it out, and I'd go up to Amazon.com and I'd buy music. But we don't have a card anymore or an account, so I can't do that.
So how much of the music that's being asked for is not available through other non-cost?
I'd say, well, all right, it depends. People who want things from, the golden age, we usually can find. But people who want things that are current, it's a little dodgier. So I'd say of what's getting requested, maybe a fourth to a third, it would really make it helpful if we could purchase it. Because it does, you know, a lot of the newer stuff, we have a variety of different avenues that we use to try to find it, but it takes a lot of research where you could just, you know, go up to Amazon or there are one or two other places and just snag it.
Marty, how do commercial stations get all their brand new music? Is it just given to them?
A large portion of it is given to them. You know, there are record promoters who actually pound the pavement, so to speak, at least on the phone anyhow these days. But in general, a lot of them do purchase or have other download opportunities. So I think some of them, depending on the format, there are kind of informal groups that share music, but they do purchase music also.
If
I
we
know-
go to 6,000 watts, you think we'll get promoters looking at us? Probably not, because we don't have a regular format, right?
Yeah, yeah, you'd have to seek people out. You have to seek out different musical format, because since we're broad spectrum and we're not focused on music. However, that is something that can be done, you know, that perhaps Levi could turn his attention toward researching not only news outlet opportunities, but also other content outlet opportunities, because there's a ton of stuff going on that is out there. We just need to connect with it.
Okay. How about our dump station? Is it coming back yet? Our profanity dump?
I have not seen. Oh, wait a minute. There was a bill for that. They probably are not releasing it until the bill is going to be covered. I think I saw a bill. Did I send that to you, Sarah? Do you know? Well, I'll check on that. Profanity Day.
Actually, I have a question. As to getting music, could we buy music and then just get reimbursed? I guess that's a question for Sarah.
I think that would be, I don't know, reimbursements take forever and there's just a ridiculous amount of paperwork. I'm more than happy to talk to Butch offline and see how we can remedy if the need truly is to buy music from Amazon. You and I can connect this week, Butch, and
Okay.
hash through that, because I also don't have like a complete understanding, and I you know, we've set up all of these things to financially go through the city, so it's like another card, another reconciliation, another, you know what I mean? So if there's a way to rectify it, we'll figure it out, but we can do that this week if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, Marty, on like on the Hawaiian music, I basically purchased every song on there except for maybe 2 albums in the station. So I have purchased I don't know, at least 10, 12 albums. And I get them for like 10, 12 cents a song. I download them, send them to Trey, and that's just been a donation on my part, because otherwise there wouldn't be enough to play an hour of Hawaiian music on Sundays. So you know, it's just, and I'm still trying to build it. I just added 2 more albums.
Sure. Well, thank you for that, because that obviously fills a huge void. And I imagine that some of our hosts may do the same for their programs. But it is
Marty,
something-
I dumped about 1,000 CDs in here when I came. So yeah,
yeah,
a lot of
I
music
believe-
came from the DJs when they came on board.
Makes
Wow.
sense.
Yeah,
Makes
can I say something? If it's all right if I say something? Yeah,
Of
you know, typically a station has a monthly budget for new records, new acts. I would think that there would be something set aside each month just for that. And if he goes over budget, he's out of luck. If he goes under budget, he can go, use it for the preceding month. Yeah, I don't think that it's, I don't think it's rewarding for Mr. Larson to come with his hands out for something that's a necessity. That's part of the, so if there's any question about how it's being appropriated or used, then that's another question in itself. But not having those funds available and depending on volunteers to, we cannot continue with that trend because volunteers themselves, as Dave mentioned, run out of patience.
Sure.
So it's not a matter of the budget. It's not a matter of money. It's how we pay for it.
Right.
So and again, that goes back to what Marty said. About a year ago, the radio station became a full department in the city's budget. And then we started slowly moving everything over to where the receipting and all of that is being done by the city. This is one of those things where we have to figure out the best practice to purchase those things. There is no limitation to the volunteers. There's no limitation to the radio station. They absolutely have a budget. It's how do we effectively pay for those things with staying where the city is reconciling everything. So this is the first I'm hearing about it, just like all the other things. And we just work our way through how we pay for that. So it's
all
not
a
a matter
learning
of,
curve.
yeah, it's not a matter of budget or Butch has to come and ask for X amount of money or Trey for music. It's how do we effectively set that up so that it's available and reoccurring and there's something there. And that's what
You're correct, Ms. Logan. Thank you for explaining that. I understand it's quite well where you're coming from as a city employee and how much is directed at you for responsibilities of archaic things like Butch. But we want to also say that maybe Butch should appoint himself as or Mr. Hatfield should appoint Butch as the finance committee for the station, and that maybe Ms. Logan and Mr. Larson can get together, off court and talk about exactly so that each time we come to a meeting, we don't have to spend 10 minutes discussing something that should already be done. Or, may I say that, I know you're just beginning and maybe that's where we're talking about right now. This is a new beginning. And one of those new beginnings is organizing how we move forward. And I think a finance committee or someone you can talk with extensively so that each step does not have to be discussed at a public meeting, because when it comes down to it is that I want to be told that Butch has his funding and that we're not depending solely on volunteers. I think that, yes, there are a lot of resources out there as well, but some of these music is really unique, as Dave mentioned, Hawaiian music. That's not one I'm a friend of, but at the same time, if listeners want that music, I'm thankful for Dave being there, and also thankful for Mr. Larson donating his funds.
Sure.
Mr. Prowse, what stations where have you worked at where stations got their music? How was the funding for music allocated? How was that typically done?
Well, that's really interesting because that brings me to another question that I had. My experience, the majority of my media experience was at Boeing. And so we got music and videos, and we were not allowed to use anything that said on the box, it says for home use only. So then we had to go through a procurement company that would allow us to use the music. So I was just kind of curious how you guys get around that. When it says at Boeing, they said, well, I bought this CD, I bought this video, I want to use it, but it says for home use only. Well, you're not at home, you're at work. and the radio station is not at home. So I don't know what the answer is for broadcasting.
Oh,
My
as an educational station, I think that we're given that leeway. That's an
Well-
exception that's going for nonprofit.
Well, just a minute, Tom. We're not given the leeway. We pay
Okay.
for leeway.
All right.
We pay our licensing fees both for on-air content of music rights, royalties, and likewise a separate payment schedule for the internet. So unfortunately, they have their fingers in both pies. But so yeah, we do cover those, Daryl. That's how we get around it in broadcasting, or not around it. That's how we respond to the issue of or origin of music, and making sure that the royalty fees are paid. Certainly if something is labeled for home use for over-the-air broadcasting, it's likewise the same. I mean, whether it's I can't even think of something that would be identified as home use in the music community, but whatever. The bottom line is we're covered in those regards
Okay. All right.
for fair use of content. So so I don't think we have too much more there. I do want to pull us back to the agenda. We've kind of gone a little afield, but it's good. I mean, this is the kind of discussion we need to have. And also, Tom, just as another little paintbrush stroke on the picture that we're slowly building here. We bring these up oftentimes during the board meetings because they are new in the process. Certainly we could have an offline discussion, but also in the interest of transparency, I have no problems with having an open discussion about where the finances are landing, and what it takes to make this facility function the way we certainly intend it to be function for the city's best and highest use in taking care of and supporting the community. So anyway, I hope that that helps explain it. We don't usually belabor these, and they're not usually 3 or 4. It's just that with all the holidays and the new year and all the other stuff, all of these starting to come due, that's when they start bubbling up to the surface. So this is a little unusual in our normal progression of the board meeting, but it does happen from time to time.
Who does the financial report?
Well, Sarah will be doing that. We have the printout that's been prepared. Trey used to do that, but we've eliminated the secretary position because it was redundant now that we're under the city's functions. We are, let's see, we'll carry that down to new business. So I won't go into that right now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. So any other?
Yeah, you got way off subject here, but that's okay.
Exactly.
Sarah, are you still with us? Sarah?
Yeah.
I have several things. I wonder if we can just meet and talk about these instead of bringing them out the meeting, kind of shorten the meeting up. I mean, I've got to talk about the shed, Trey's computer, some funds at the end of the year and that kind of stuff. That's probably something we could just talk about at a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Okay.
I'll skip that part of it. So you tell me what your schedule is when I can meet with you, because yours is probably a lot more crowded than mine is. Okay?
Okay. I'll shoot you an email.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We already mentioned that we were going back to the old way of doing the city council meetings until the city, the convention center, if I'm not mistaken, are going to upgrade their equipment. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, and until that happens, we're going to stay with the old way of doing things. Be 2 of us. I'll be at the station. Trey will be at the convention center. I'm thinking about dropping the library for our staff meetings. We'll just do them Zoom. I think
Yeah.
it's a lot easier now that I got a Monday show instead of my Thursday show. And I don't get off till 3 o'clock. I don't have time to get down to the library and get set up. So I'm just gonna do them Zoom from now on. So I hope everybody's gonna be okay with that. And only one nitpicking, Sarah. My name is Owen, not Ian.
What's pathetic is I knew that and still typed it anyway and then sent it out. So I knew
All right.
that.
Okay, well, I'll say the rest of it for Sarah and I on our meeting.
Okay.
Okay, great. Well, thank you both. Um, We'll move on to the technology report. I'll just keep it real brief. Watching the expenses starting to creep up, the general cost of activities are going up. I was just reading in a trade publication called Inside Towers. The costs for apparatus and installations and sites are rising. So, it's one of those things where we have to, if we're getting into a project such as the tower project or the FM relocation project and all that, I have to keep going back and looking because all I see right now are prices starting to rise, and I don't know where they're going to go. But those are things that I'll have to be able to put together for the city council for their review and questions in the not distant future as we learn more about how those costs are starting to affect siting and how the FCC's application process goes for us. So that's being attended to. Let's see, Frank, do you have anything for the city council liaison report? Thank you for what I heard at the city council meeting in your review of the activities of our board. Anything new with you today?
Nothing new today. I wasn't prepared to give any kind of a report,
Okay.
but I am taking my own notes this time, since that I'm asked to give a report. So, well, I may have some questions later for you, Marty.
Sure, no problem. I appreciate that, and the way you took both my comments and threaded them in with some other ones that you had. I think it covered all the bases very nicely for the council. Thank you for that. It's an important feature. Yes, Butch.
Marty, I forgot to say two things actually. Today we are going to be broadcasting live the special city council meeting. It's on a Zoom, so we'll be broadcasting that live. And tomorrow we're going to be broadcasting, because it's Zoom live, is the state of the state of the city, I think it is, that John Martin's going to be doing. So both those programs will be broadcasting live on KOSW.
Do you know the times?
It's going to be at 4 o'clock today and 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, for today's, do we need, I don't know. Just a question to Sarah, do we need credentials?
Yep.
Could you pop them over to me?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. I'm glad you brought those up. Thank you very much. Okay. Sarah, do you have a couple of minutes for the financial report?
I do. So in your agenda packet, there were the January 2022 financials. It shows the revenues at 66,723.68. So far in the biennium budget, 14,579.54 has been used, and it leaves in the biennium budget the 52,144.14. That does include, I believe, Marty, isn't it 25,000 that the council approved for the tower stuff? So just something to take into consideration, that, there's a lot there, but 25,000 of it was dedicated to the FCC, the upgrading. I'll leave the logistics of that to you. So, about 25,000 is still expendable in the, everyday kind of stuff. We did order the weather station. We did order a new laptop for the radio station. This is all in February, so that'll be coming up. We ordered a new PC for the radio station. So all of that stuff will be reported in the February financials for your March meeting. But we have used some of those funds to purchase the equipment that was tiring at the radio station.
I have a question. Sarah, is it the end of the calendar year or the end of the fiscal year?
It is the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
Okay,
May I-
anybody have questions? Go ahead, Frank.
I didn't hear what that third item was, Sarah, that you said you had purchased.
We purchased a PC, so a tower for the radio station, computer tower, and then a laptop that they have some name for.
Yeah,
that
remote
they
broad-
use it.
That was
Yeah.
remote broadcast one, yeah.
Hey,
Remote
Frank,
broadcast.
that was for the production room,
Okay.
the PC.
Yeah, I
And
have the
then we-
oldest computer in the building.
And then we ordered the weather station to replace the one that Butch so diligently went up and got.
Well, what I heard was it was a PT, not a PC. So
Oh.
that's why I had to ask. Sorry.
So all of those things, like I said, we'll show in the February financials. And then financial, I have your petty cash check. So Butch, when we meet, I can give that to you and you can restock the petty cash. And then I have a deposit for the radio station that'll go in February. So, I mean, you guys are killing it in a good way, not in a good way. So I think it looks good. The only thing is just, I kind of just want there to be memory and to Frank too on council that it does show that the funds that they have available is 52,144. The hope when the budget stuff comes up is that 25,000 allocated for the upgrades will be a part of that again if it doesn't get expended this year. So that's just something to remember, because I think I have a feeling that we're going to go to council, do the budget presentation, and they're going to be like, well, you have, you know, $40,000 you didn't. Well, because we've really side that 25,000 for the upgrade. So just something to think about when you guys are going through the budget.
Yeah, that money's been earmarked already. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, excellent. Something I'll take just a moment to touch on, since we're discussing financial issues, is Mayor Martin shared a message to board chairs regarding ARPA, which is,
American Rescue Plan Act funding.
There we go. Okay, I find all these other acronyms and but okay. In any event, it's funding available to reimburse and in some cases improve facilities that are oriented to the public relative to COVID costs. And there was a request put out by the mayor to review some paperwork and to determine if Sarah Bisson, who is our city person who's involved in grant writing, can tie in anything relative to the radio station operations to this particular cycle of the ARPA process. And I thought long and hard about it, and the only area that even comes close to our activities, and it's not a close enough match to meet the criteria, is broadband infrastructure. And however, having that stated, and it does not include anything for broadcast in and of itself, and broadcast can't quite stretch itself. Even when I squint mightily, to meet the definitions of the broadband infrastructure portion of this. So I know that Sarah's been very diligent in maintaining the records and purchases associated with cleaning the facilities, providing us with the appropriate sanitary care materials for COVID-19 .xxx compliance and ability to have people in the station on a regular basis. But I just don't see anything available to us under this particular program. However, I want to lean on Sarah Bison. I want to make her one of my best friends, and I haven't actually met her yet myself, because we need to be prepared for this eventuality. I'm that optimistic of our class conversion to a regular low power from the low power FM world into the regular non-commercial broadcasting world. And we're going to need funding well beyond ultimately what we have available through our city programs right now. And in part of that, we'll want to develop beyond where we have been with Roseanne primarily, and some of the other individual show hosts who have been out pounding the pavement looking for fundraising opportunities. And one of the realities in the non-commercial educational world is that people who are fundraisers do get some remuneration for their hours and commitment to fundraising, fundraising for the entity here. So I'm opening the door today on this discussion since we're in the financial zone, but eventually what I'd like to do is bring it back around, create a little subcommittee with 2 of our board members and perhaps as many as 4 or 5, so say 20% of our volunteer staff. Well, actually, that part's a separate thought process. So I'll just keep that one off to the side. But primarily, those who are interested in doing fundraising, I'd like to know, where do their expectations fall? How does this compare to processes that are underway with other non-commercial community stations, particularly the smaller ones? Although we have a good population along the North Beach, it's not the wealthiest section of Washington State, but we do have some very nice areas that have significant financial availability, including Seabrook. So thoughts along those lines. I just want to start that thinking process since we're on the financial page right now. Okay, any other comments, Sarah, from the financials? Okay, hearing none.
Hey, Marty, since you're looping all that other stuff into the financials and talking about the upcoming switch, which, hopefully maybe might happen by the end of the year or whatever, if keeping that in mind, and this is February, that's 10 months from now. And so just keep in mind that we've got a table full of gear, t-shirts, sweatshirts, ball caps, coffee cups, and you name it, that all say KOSW 91.3. So whenever this change does take place, we're going to have a lot of obsolete gear, so to speak. So I'm just thinking that we might, or when you have those discussions, you might also want to maybe develop a plan to, liquidate some of that stuff, reduce the price down the road if we can't push it off. Like I know we got the crab convention or clam convention thing coming up where the station is going to be at the convention center. So hopefully that'll be a great opportunity to sell a lot of swag and those kinds of opportunities as they progress. But I don't, we'll see if they can sell all that gear they have. There's a lot there.
Agreed. Go ahead, Butch.
This question is mainly for Sarah, is that we got all this, what Dave was just talking about, all our paraphernalia that we have that's got 91.3 on it and all that good stuff. Okay, we got rid of a lot of it, but we still have quite a bit left over. Without being a gift of public funds, is there some way we can give them away as contest gifts or stuff like that to the radio station, or give really reduced pricing at an event? Or
I don't think I would feel 100% comfortable giveaways. That would be something I'd have to check into because they are purchased with public funds. You could sell them at less as long as you don't go under the cost to the city to buy them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like those shirts were whatever our cost was, which is on that quote,
yeah.
you could go down to that. I'm going to say knee-jerk reaction is no giveaways. We can't do that in any other capacity because you are using public funds to purchase those items. But I can definitely just double down so we're all comfortable and ask that question.
Okay, this kind of relates to one other question. Once we get our new license and we get like an 88.9 or whatever we're going to be on our frequency, and we want to do this contest to go out to the community to design us a new logo for the station. Okay. We want to have prizes for whoever wins that. Is it okay? We can go out and get gift cards and things from businesses, right?
That's tough.
I mean, how can you have a contest if you don't have a prize?
Right.
Well, the prize is winning the contest.
Yeah.
Your new
Yeah.
logo is.
Let's add that to the list to discuss at our meeting. I think that'll be a fruitful meeting and we'll be able to work our way through all that. I see where you're coming from. We're just in this weird situation where the city owns the radio station. So
yeah, we're a
and,
different monster than the rest of your departments.
Yeah, like if you went, utility billing can't accept or give anything, so let's just, I'll try and have an answer by the time we have a meeting.
Okay, sounds
Sure.
great. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll get to Daryl and then Tom and then Frank. I was just going to say, you can also, if you wait a little while and we actually get to the point where we have the station and all, the new frequency, it could become one of those, I know it's always a crapshoot if it's going to do it or not, but it could become a classic version of the sweatshirt or the t-shirt that has the old logo on it that people like to.
Well, you could call it vintage and it could be more expensive.
Right. Or
raise the prices.
Yeah.
Well, we have
And
several.
you know what? People would like that too. That would be important.
Yes, I agree. Thank you,
We
Roseanne.
have several festivals coming up this summer that we can unload this stuff at.
Sure. Okay. Daryl, you were next, followed by Tom and then Frank.
Couple of things. We did that in the Boy Scouts where we made patches, and patches became collectibles. And then when there was a limited edition, and it's like you said, it's the vintage, but we're not going to make these anymore. It becomes more valuable.
Yeah.
But the comment I wanted to make is, could we have a separate incoming fund for donations? Now, donation is not really public funds, and could that be kept separate to purchase things like sweatshirts to be able, or to purchase things to be given away? If that were a different income category.
Yeah.
Well, that's only she need a 510c3.
Put that. We'll put that on the review list with Sarah because obviously there are ties into the city that are important, Daryl. But that's a very good observation. Thank you, Tom.
That's a very good suggestion, Mr. Pros. And I guess my opinion or my experience has shown that, first of all, if I understand correctly, this old T-shirt is going to be different from the new one coming out. Are we depending upon the intelligence of our listeners to understand that these are two different entities, that one's an antique, collectible, and the other one is, and the other, so, are we going to confuse them by having them dial to the Church of Latter-day Saints station or something with this old number? And I guess also I feel that hey, if these T-shirts were on last year's budget or whatever, aren't they a write-off? Isn't that what happens? Is that how can you use this to promote? So if these two T-shirts cost $2 each, and we write those $2 off on our budget, but at the same time, Butch gives them away on the station, I think we're benefiting. I think the emotional rewards and connection between, hey, I got this from the station, are far outweigh any $2 per T-shirt, because what we're looking for, if I understand correctly, from Mr. Hatfield, is PR. Now, you can't have PR without bleeding a little. Okay, let's face that. All right. So that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
Could they be declared surplus? So if there's surplus T-shirts, like a surplus desk that the city gets rid of stuff, maybe I can take care of it.
Right. Good
And
one.
So when it has to do with surplus, the surplus has to go on the auction website. So
Okay.
you can't surplus it and then give it away. Like
How
even
did
if you
this
have a
happen?
compute, I'm sorry.
Sorry, nothing. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was talking to my dog.
So anyway, at that point, that would go on the auction website, and then they, people can bid on them for super cheap. And that's where you don't have to make up for what you've paid or what have you, because it's surplus.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see, Frank, you had asked for a moment.
Just had a quick question. I know we're applying for a new frequency. Are we also gonna have new call letters?
Only if we wanted to. And in my discussions with the mayor and city administrator, that is a no starter. Likewise, the potential for changing the community of license from Ocean Shores, there could be some advantages to relicensing the station to Ocean City, even though it's just right next door, non-starter. This is a city-owned entity, and it's going to remain with the namesake of Ocean Shores.
Okay, I didn't know if that was required when you got a new frequency and a new license, if they changed
No.
your call letters.
In some circumstances, that does apply, but usually like in our case, we are a holder of an FCC permit with call letters. One of the things that we had to express explicitly in the application was that in the event that we are awarded the new frequency, channel, power, blah, 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 that we will not retain the 91.3 frequency and facilities. So in essence, you change one for the other. You have the opportunity to try to change call letters if you want to. Some people do. They take great opportunity, completely fresh start. But since this is inherently a community station, we'll just stay with the city ID.
Yeah, I like that idea. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting process, and there are lots of other variations that exist out there in the world.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I think we can move on now, I hope. But thank you. This is really, really good, stimulating discussion overall. Time to touch on the volunteer handbook. One of the things that I'd like to suggest is that, again, we have a couple of the board members volunteer to meet with some of the staff of the station to hammer out some of the changes that are appropriate in updating the volunteer handbook.
That's for our staff meeting, isn't it? Our volunteer staff meeting.
Well,
Butch?
that's up to Butch and Trey to bring that up as a matter of discussion. I believe it's on their,
Right.
I'll hesitate to call it agenda, but on their topic list for the meetings will certainly be to open up the opportunity for feedback from our volunteers. And but likewise, I kind of want to get this off the ground. And so I'd like to see if I can't get a couple of board members that would volunteer for this. Butch, you just raise your hand.
I tried to start on it, but then I got lost in it because I wasn't quite sure where to start, where to begin, what to do. And I was, because I took, Sarah sent me the employees manual or whatever it's called you have. It's like your policy procedures, whatever. And I was trying to put in there also like volunteer KOSW volunteers in there and stuff. And I thought, well, you know what? Maybe we need a template that we can go by where we can insert items from our handbook into this other policy procedures. So we would have, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to do it. So I kind of backed off and kind of waiting to see get some leadership on it.
When I started it too, Butch, I felt the same way. And then I went, well, what are we doing here? Because the personnel manual is based on people getting paid, which we don't. So then I thought yesterday, well, this is about insertion. So as I read through it, which is, like Marty said, a tome, whatever pertains to us, which I don't think is going to be a lot, then we just discuss it and insert it into the handbook. I had to clear my brain to figure that out because it's a lot of information.
I'm glad you're here.
That's a really good approach, though, Roseanne, and I appreciate that. I think that is the best way to get it moving, get it inserted, and then circulate the document, regardless of the completeness. And then we can start to hack at it and then get the changes implemented.
Well, we might want to do is break it down so each person has a section they can work on and then try to put that together. Because it's a pretty good sized document for one person to kind of go in there and edit that thing.
It is.
Okay. Yes, Sarah.
Is the plan at your staff meeting to get suggestions for changes on the document?
Yeah, last staff meeting, I told everybody, take a look and read over the handbook and see if there's any corrections in there or updates that we need to do or strikes that we need to take out of there that don't exist anymore. And so everybody can have kind of a rough scratched up draft of something that we could take and look at it and then go through it and see what we want to take and not take. And well, it's going to be quite a process, but it's more than one person. I think we need to break this up between a few people to take sections of this thing and work on it and bring it all together. I don't know, it's just my suggestion.
Yes, I just wish to say that, yeah, this is a voluntary handbook. So we want people, whatever you decide to do with this or direction to go, if I'm part of this, one of the things I want to say is that we want it to be delightful. We want it to be happy. We want the volunteers to not look at this and think they're signing away their life for their grandchildren. We don't want them to be feel threatened by the doctrine that's being exhibited sometimes by city, state, and federal officials when considering employment. So whatever we do, we want to make it friendly. We want to make it hospitable because these are volunteers we don't wish to insult or intimidate.
Just want to make sure we get the gray areas out of it.
Well, yeah, we have to, the guardrails need to be defined. That's the
All
way I
right.
look at things, yeah. So, well, I'd like to see a couple of hands or voices from our board that would care to be involved. Like, I can only allocate 2, but please step forward if you're interested.
Yeah, count me in.
Okay, Dave?
Yep, I've done a few contracts in my life, and if I could get the manual that Butch was talking about from Sarah in an electronic form, and then get our manual as well in electronic form, it makes it a lot easier to, you know, cut and paste and make changes that you can still highlight until all of the changes are approved and things like that. And I've done those sorts of things for 20 some years. So,
Sure.
but anyway, yeah, count me in as a volunteer.
Okay, and
Well, I
Roseanne,
started with the handbook, so I will continue on here too.
that's what I was hoping I would hear. Thank you, Roseanne. I know you've already dedicated quite a bit of time to it.
Yes.
And then if you can, like I say, if you pick 4 or 5, somewhere between 20 and 25% of the volunteer staff, or open it up to everybody. But depending on how your group control mechanisms are, you might want to just think of 4 or 5 individuals that you might be able to get to volunteer from the regular on-air staff to help with the review and perspective.
I just volunteered Trey to wordsmith it.
Okay, and because Tom's
Hey,
right.
What do you volunteer me for?
To wordsmith our handbook when we get
Oh,
done
okay.
with it.
Okay. As Tom said, we want to be thoughtful about our volunteers and create an environment that's positive and reinforcing. So we'll get there, I think, with these efforts. Thank you. Let's see. We've had discussion, new business. See, I touched on possible grant opportunities. Some of that will unfold in discussions with Sarah Bison. Let's see, what else do I have? Volunteer staff. Does anybody else have any new business items while I try to search through my notes?
Yeah, this is Daryl. I've got one that it goes back to that intern that you were talking about. If he's a local kid, high school age, I would like to see him do a daily report from the high school that can put on the morning show. It'd be real appropriate to have perhaps what the lunch menu is today, to start off with that, and a number of routines to get him used to covering a beat.
Yeah, what, fight day?
He's not high school age. He's 21.
Oh, okay.
Well, he could still,
Right.
find out what just to get him into a routine at the station. He could contact the school or multiple schools and describe what's on the luncheon menu or what some of the sports activities or what's coming up, and just have a 2-minute highlight of what's going on with the schools. Frank?
He could also cover sporting events or music programs or any of that stuff coming up for the community. I think it'd be a great idea.
Poor guy.
Well, but it gets his feet into it and gets him, putting a responsibility to have a regularly scheduled program. That would be, I think that's all really appropriate.
He's only got 20 hours. He's only got 20 hours.
Well, it shouldn't take him 1 hour a day to contact and then do a brief audio drop that he can email to Butch or Trey and have them drop it into the schedule and set all the the settings for that.
Thomas,
but-
that's 20 hours a week.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I gotta listen to
Lots of
things
time.
too.
Yeah. So I think those are important things. So that's a really good ideas though, getting them involved, and making him responsible for some items so that it will really reinforce the value that he's bringing to us, to him, and he can see that. Another item under new business that I discussed briefly, can't remember if it was Butch and Trey or maybe just Trey, I don't know. But in any event, I think it was both of them. In fact, that's why I was confused. Something that I'd like to do, this is kind of a personal project, but if anybody else wants to do a similar thing, is I've asked Butch and Trey to prepare a few, and any of us could type them up, it's not a big deal, but little like station IDs or station positioning statements. And I'll go out and I'll get Mayor Martin to cut one. I'll get Frank to cut one as a city council member. All the city council members, I'd love to hear their voice rotated along with all the other ones that we have for top of the hour station IDs. Hey, you know, I'm council member so-and-so at position 1, 2, 3, 4. And just want you to know that, you know, your Ocean Shore City Council is here for you, and I'm a representative from that body. You're listening to KOSW 91.3 Ocean Shores. You know, simple things like that, but it gets a couple of things accomplished. It records their voice, so they're part of the station, which they have to be, because not that their voice have to be on there, but they need to be part of the station because they are the licensee, the city council and the mayor. So I want the mayor, I want the city council, I want fire chief, police chief, I want the, not only just the heads of departments. I'd love to be able to stop the guy or the individual, whoever it is, who's driving the tractor, mowing the lawn between the
You're talking.
Ocean Shores Boulevard, and say, hey, stuff a microphone in his face and say, hey, I'm Jerry. I'm the guy who drives the tractor out here. And I want you to know that we're making Ocean Shores more beautiful through our opportunities here in the city. KOSW 91.3, the voice of the shores, or whatever we want to say. So I want to encourage, but I want to have it orchestrated so that we're not all knocking on the same doors. But I'd like a little feedback from the thought of that. The other thing that it does is it creates another opportunity for people to want to tune in just to hear their own voice on the air once in a while. It's amazing how often the general public is attracted to the concept that they might hear themselves doing the top of the hour ID, even if it's just passing. I know it happens to me. If I happen to be listening and I hear Dave Brubeck take 5 couple of notes there, I know that's the ID that I did, and I love it. It just captures me. So I hope that same kind of an excitement can get introduced to other members of our community here.
Sounds great.
Daryl?
We did that, Frank and I did that for Wazoo Nation, where we had these endorsements and we ran them 3 times in a show and used them as bumpers for a 1-hour show to separate various topics.
Perfect.
And we had ex-players, we had coaches, we had representatives, we had and just plain old fans. And it was really fun grabbing those. They would basically say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm a class of so-and-so, and you're listening to Wazoo Nation on KOSW. And it was kind of a derivative of that. They're all slightly different. We had the same music bed for all of them, so you knew when it came down.
Oh, good point.
And so it was really easy because I just had it drop down for the part the guy talked, but the first part of the jingle comes up, a little bit of a donut, and then I edited the music or the voice so it fit within the parameters.
Sure.
And I think having that would be a really good thing in that if our station movement is approved, so then we've got that process down. Now you can expand that out to Seabrook. wherever
Right.
The people at Seabrook are and the other
Acme,
cities.
everywhere.
And then now they buy into the new station. So I think
Right.
that would be a great, that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, thanks.
I think this sounds like a good Levi, Marty collaboration.
Well, and everybody else on the board. I mean, feel free. Let's just, like I say, communicate before we go out and knock on doors so that we're not double teaming people and killing their time. But Butch has a couple of recorders that are ready and available. Of course, you can always, even if you feel like it, you could do it on your phone, although, depending if you have an external microphone or not, the quality might be a little better or a little worse. But it's the idea of getting out there and having a personal touch, not only with the community. It's just another outreach, and we can expand it to, well, we have to be a little careful in the businesses side of it, but not terribly cautious. My thought there is, we might run into a little bit of a confrontational point if somebody who is a sponsor of the station, if your voice is heard as somebody's toenail clipping business, that might be construed as some kind of an underwriting position. So I don't know that we want to go down that road at least at this point, but it might be something we could cautiously approach in the future. But as far as the city council and anybody within the city's functionals, it's a no-brainer. It's their radio station. So let's put it in their hands and get them used to it. Yes, Daryl?
I think we need to be careful during re-election time. Once an existing city council member announces they're up for re-election, at that point, those people should be pulled. So or else you'd have to have the opponent, and you got to keep track of how many times. Just pull them, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out the best practices in that regard, because well, we'll figure it out. That's an excellent item to keep in the thought process, though, for sure. So, okay.
So I was just gonna say, I've got one question that's not related to that, and then a comment that maybe for consideration under new business that would fall under a similar type thing. Okay. My question, Marty, is that like a blow up chicken behind you on the roof?
Oh, no, that's a pterodactyl. It's a funny angle, but we have an eclectic home, shall I say. And so that's Terry from Pee Wee Herman, but that's pterodactyl. Been with us for a long time. So yeah, if you'll eventually get over to our place. We'll have a meeting here or something. And it's
that was going to be my question too, Marty.
Yeah. Well, we have a mermaid on the wall. We have a whale on the wall. Back there. I don't know. Oh, big jellyfish, some other stuff. So yeah,
the thing up there on the vent really caught my attention. So
yeah.
But and then my comment would be, and I don't know if I just think you might not be able to do this because of your licensing or not, but I know that when I travel, which hasn't been much in the last few years, but normally when I would travel through rural areas and looking for AM or low power radio stations to listen to, one of the things I always like to stumble upon would be, especially in farm communities and stuff, you would have a show sometimes every day, maybe once a week, on some channels, where they would have a like a community swap and shop type thing, where people would be like open callers, and they'd call in and say, "Hi, this is Terry, and I've got a lawnmower that I'd like to give away or trade or sell for $20, and I can be reached at, and they give their phone number, and then the commenter says, okay, and then, at the end of the half hour or whatever, okay, we had Terry with a lawnmower at this number and this person, and I'm just thinking, if you ever did do something like that, it probably wouldn't take off overnight. But since we don't really have any community type newspapers that you can get delivered to your home, and I'm not a Facebook person to see what's out there, I just thought something like that might be interesting, as long as you got your button back in place in case you get a wise guy on there.
Sure. Well, a couple of things there. I think I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but I remember just even a couple of years ago that one of the radio stations in either Aberdeen or Hoquiam market actually had like a 1 hour show. It may have been Centralia, now that I'm thinking about it, but somewhere in our more rural communities, that's still a very common thing, and a lot of places do that. So there's certainly room for that. That's a programming formatics decision. When you would do it, usually it'd be late morning or maybe around noontime or something like that. But it can be a nice stimulant for listening within the community. So I don't disagree at all. I think it's definitely worth discussions and figure out the mechanisms necessary to make a successful one. But I think there's a station, again, I'm almost positive Chehalis Centralia has one, but there might be one in Aberdeen Hoquiam that does something similar. But why not one for the North Beach zone? Because we certainly, don't have any less of a need for that kind of an exchange program. So we'll see what may come of that. All good ideas. Appreciate it. Anybody else have anything for new business, or should we move on to future agenda items? Frank, please.
I just had a question. I know we were looking for a spot to put the antenna. Did you talk to anybody next to the Quest building about their antenna there in the parking lot?
Oh, well, at this time, that'd be really premature. I have, in fact, spoken with them, and I know the people who are the representatives of CenturyLink. It's Crown Castle, I believe, is the entity that is their rep for towers. They do have space available. However, at this time, there are a couple of things that are prohibit our use for that site, or any site down here in the Lower Peninsula right now. The reason the tower site was chosen where we did, up east, just not even 2 miles practically east of Pacific Beach, the main intersection on the highway, is the spacing criteria to other stations. The FCC rules require that we are sited in a location that will provide adequate protection to pre-existing stations. So until the matter that we extracted ourselves from gets completely quieted down in the Aberdeen Hoquiam, Cosmopolis, and Elma areas, actually I think it's Montesano, we want to be able to, we have to stay pretty darn close to where we have selected the tower for now. After we get allocated and granted, there will be a construction window that's usually between 1.5 and 3 years right now. I'm not sure what the commission's sense is on it, but it'll be a standardized construction window. Within that window, if these other stations fall out and they're no longer impacting us in a way that prevents us from moving a little further south, then we can entertain some of these other possible tower sites. There may also be, I'm certainly hopeful that we'll have a forward-looking connection with the Quinault tribe. They have a lot of land. If there's an area that would be prime for a tower, maybe we can get into a relationship on that kind of a thing. There's all sorts of avenues that will be available. But unfortunately, the one tower that is here in town that's unused right now does not fit the criteria for acceptability for KOSW. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah, I know I'm long-winded. I should have just said it doesn't meet the rules or something and not let it go. But now you know a little bit more of the backstory. Any other question or comment as we move into future agenda? Okay, hearing none. Future agenda items. Anybody have anything that they would like to see? Of course, you can feed that back later, but if you have anything on your list right now, that would be an awesome time to present it. Okay, well, hearing none, we'll hold that. And I guess I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, we have a second?
Yep, second.
Thank you, Dave. All right, I think we are adjourned. And Sarah can stop recording.